What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I finally got my Legion Go S here to take a look at, and I'm certainly going to be doing a full review on this that'll go much deeper than this video, comparing it to other devices like the Steam Deck and Legion Go, and of course testing a bunch more games on here. But I always like to take a look at the unboxing and kind of a first impressions of my first 24 to 48 hours with these devices first, and just kind of see what my first take is compared to what happens down the road. So that's what we'll do here. We'll get into it. We'll take a look at kind of my first impressions and unboxing here of the Legion Go S. Now this is of course the custom AMD Ryzen Z2 Go chip for Lenovo running Windows 11 with the graphics are 680M, so yeah, that's about 3 years old at this point. 32 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte of storage, a very nice 8-inch 500 nit display which is VRR 120 Hz. I believe it's the same as my MSI Claw 8, and adjustable triggers on the device as well. We'll get more into all the stuff in the review, but that's the unit I have here. Now, as far as what comes in the box, it's super simple and kind of reminds me of the newer NVIDIA 5000 series unboxings I've seen, with very minimal on the cardboard and using kind of a inexpensive or smaller styrofoam insert. So that's kind of what we have here. So here's the outside of the box. We got a little bit of paperwork here, and we've got some instructions and different information on the back. And then we've got our unit here. So we slide that out, and again, we just got that in that kind of black shipping foam stuff here. Pretty simple. And then we can move this to the side. Oh yeah, we've got the they talk about the adjustable triggers and again docking and a couple of things on the back of the box. But yeah, you open that up and you've got your Legion Go S in here. Pretty simple enough. Take that out. Now, before we get into pulling that out of the bag, the box that I pulled out earlier is indeed just the charger for the device. I've got a lot of these laying around. I'll probably leave this one in the box, but yeah, you got another charger here, and that's it. You got your device, you got the charger, some paperwork, and there you go. So there's our Legion Go S. And we'll get in and we'll take a closer look at everything as far as my first impressions. Now, right out of the box, I expected it to be quite comfortable, and it is. And I've been using the Legion Go and Claw 8 a lot, so it doesn't feel that heavy to me, though of course it's going to be heavier than some of the smaller devices, but it certainly is an aesthetically pleasing device. It really does look nice, especially in person. The color is great. The aesthetic of the white on the buttons with the device and everything, the subtle lighting, I don't know, it is very nice and looks good. Now, Lenovo did a good job on the build quality here as well. We also have that small trackpad, some improved speakers, and some other stuff that goes along here as well. And yeah, it feels very comfortable. Again, we've got our vent on the top, our trigger buttons, our 2 USB-C ports, headphone jack, volume, power button, and all of that. Our face buttons, which they swapped again. The start and the back buttons are underneath of the Legion buttons. We have our SD card slot on the bottom, some exposed screw heads there. That's okay. Rather, I didn't have to have those there to see them, but that's all right. And then on the back, we've got the dual vents here for intake and your 2 hotkey buttons. You also got your sliders for the triggers here to change the amount of travel, which honestly, this is one of the things I don't like about the device so far off the bat. The triggers, there's not a lot of great travel there, and they almost feel more like my Switch Pro controller or something where you don't have as much to go there. But we'll see how that works out in the long run. The shoulder buttons also don't feel great yet to me either, but we'll see how that goes. And again, they did swap these buttons where your Legion buttons are at the top and you're starting back on the bottom instead of the other way around. They always like to do things different there, their own way. And we have that small trackpad and stuff. But yeah, also we do have some improved speakers here, so I'll let you take a quick listen at 100%. They're not the loudest, but they do sound better than the original Legion Go. All right, so yeah, that's the speakers. We'll get deeper into that and compare to other devices in the actual review. But the other thing is here with setup, I did run into some issues with the GPU drivers. The drivers on the website and that come with the device are August dated of last year, and Windows overwrites them, breaks Adrenaline, and causes some issues with the device. What I had to do was DDU and reinstall the factory drivers, pause Windows updates, and then I was actually able to update to the newest drivers right through Adrenaline, which is something you couldn't do before on, like, say, the Legion Go, right, with the Z1 Extreme. So it was directly supported from AMD. It installed the newest drivers, and I haven't had any problems since doing that. But it was a pain in the beginning to figure out what was going on and get that to work. Now, I realize this device isn't necessarily made for playing hard to run games. It is an older GPU and CPU. It's only 4-core, 8-thread, and you can see in Spider-Man 2, it's 100% pegged on the CPU and GPU. So anything that you want to do like hit a button to go to your quick access menu or anything is going to take a while. It doesn't just pop up when your CPU's maxed out like that. And again, I realize this device isn't necessarily made to play these harder to run games, but that's going to become a sticking point when we start talking about the price of $730 for this device. Because if it's not made to play anything that's harder to run and it's more for easy to run older titles or indie titles or light task, then there's a lot of devices for less money that would be able to do that, or even Z1 Extreme devices for less money that would offer much better efficiency and performance. But that's something we're going to get more into. You guys can see here me just trying to use the quick access menu, switch some TDPs around, try 33 watts, the 25. Really, the 25 watt performance mode is going to do just fine. 33, there's not much difference. And there's certainly a reason why we have 25 watt performance on this device versus 20 watt on the Z1 Extreme. It's just not as efficient. It does take more power to try to get some performance out of it. But anyways, this was one of the first ones I checked out and noticed, yep, things are going to be a bit clunky when it comes to the CPU for this thing. Now, of course, where it's going to shine, and then with this 8-inch display, is going to be easier titles like maybe Turtles here or Sonic or something like that. But then why am I paying for 32 gigabytes of RAM when 16 would do fine and that type of thing, right? I think the $500 SteamOS model that's going to be coming out of this device in May is going to be the one that I can really get into and recommend, and I think it's going to be worth it for what it's going to offer. But there again, we'll have to see what happens with that device, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the actual review of this device and I get more time with it. But yeah, easy to run stuff's not going to be a problem, but anything that's at all difficult or CPU heavy especially is just not going to work out very well, and it's going to be tough to play, which again, I realize this chipset, a Z2 Go kind of entry level handheld hardware, isn't expected to do that. But also, if it's not expected to do that, then I don't necessarily need it spec'd out the way it is or priced as high as it is. And I think that's going to become the major sticking point of this device, but I certainly want to spend more time with it before making all of those decisions. But yeah, I'm not so convinced yet that this is one I'm going to keep for the long term on the channel to test. I'm going to make a ton of videos, we're going to review it, we're going to compare it to other devices, we're going to test more games. I'm going to spend a lot more time over the next couple of weeks with it, and we'll have to see where I land truly at the end for this device, whether it's something I can recommend, whether it's just not good enough for price to performance, or that type of thing. Overall, I think it's a great looking device. It feels great to hold and to game on when it's working great, you know, on something easy to run or anything like that. And I think they did a great job on the design. But I think the issue is going to be the hardware inside and the price versus what's already out there and that type of thing. But again, I want to spend more time before I really get into it and do the full review here and get all the rest of the videos out for this device. But my first impressions here are that it's kind of what I expected out of Z2 Go, and that the spec for this device is just going to be overpriced for the APU that it carries. But we'll see what happens when I get to the full review, test more games compared to the Steam Deck and the original Legion Go and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, guys, thanks for coming and checking out the first impressions of the Legion Go S. I'll have a lot more on the way for you to check out if this is a device you're interested in. As always, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.